Hello and welcome to the Bravo Outsider Podcast. I'm your host, Craig Midwinter, and joining me from the luggage compartment of the Sprinter van is Mumble's Dylan Ferguson. How's it going?
Just had to get a care ball out there, but yeah, doing fine.
Awesome. Each week we bring on someone who doesn't follow Bravo to get their takes on the episode. This week I'm very excited to have the very funny and very handsome Ben Old Ball Coach Walker.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. Excited. You're not seeing double, you're seeing trouble.
Oh, whose is that?
That is Teresa and Nicole.
Okay.
Napa Latino or Napa Latano.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, did you not hear me? I said I'm not getting older, I'm getting bolder. All right. Samara
Rhymes
really
are always good.
Really
Yeah.
stoked to have you on the show, Ben. Do you
Well,
want
I'm
to give
excited.
our listeners a little bit of a background on any sort of reality TV that you currently follow or have past experience with?
Yeah, not to age myself here, but I did start watching the original Survivor. Back in the 2000 when it was the global phenomenon, and then so I started work. Some of my coworkers started watching The Bachelor, so I dove into that. So I was a big Bachelor head for
part of the Bachelor Nation.
The Bachelor Nation. For when it was real. No, I know. I mean, it's all real, but it was. I watched Bachelor for probably 12 seasons or so. And I think Hard Knocks, if that counts. Detroit Lions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think The
yeah.
Bachelor is a pretty interesting example of a show that blends the competition style with this kind of narrative. I watched The Bachelor for a few seasons. I kind of fell off. It takes itself a little bit more seriously than I think it needs to. There's still this idea of that they're trying to create this beautiful love story at the end, which doesn't really hit. I love the tension and the villains that you get in the early parts of The Bachelor, but then once they start narrowing them off, it just falls really flat because I don't think that anyone really buys into this love story that they're trying to sell. But they're still so committed to it. I feel like the only motivation that I had for watching The Bachelor by the time that I stopped following it was so that I had the background on the characters that would come on to Bachelor in Paradise, which is a lot more fun, and it doesn't take itself seriously in the same way. But yeah, The Bachelor is definitely one of the most popular reality TV shows right now. For sure. And I think that's a good segue into the roundtable discussion that we wanted to have today. I wanted to talk about the idea of authenticity within reality TV, because I think in reality TV, there's varying degrees of authenticity from show to show and moment to moment. I wanted to get your guys' perspective on the idea of authenticity. Dylan, did you want to lead us off on your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's like the idea of authenticity can help people really enjoy the shows, but it's been a big sticking point for a lot of people getting into the shows, just based on the conversations we've had with people that we've tried to introduce to reality TV through this show, which is kind of our bit. It's like the word reality often seems to be kind of a hurdle for people, because when they start watching the show and it has often pretty good production values, good lighting, camera setups, people are well mic'd up and things. It doesn't aesthetically hit like a documentary.
Right.
So the fact that things are being planned and prepared and really set up kind of makes people feel like, oh, this is fake then. And it's supposed to be reality TV, and it has that word reality in it, and that production value is scream fake fiction, and that that like tension between what we consider to be like just a fake stage thing and what we consider to be like a real document is something that's interesting in the shows, but is also like difficult for people to for some people anyways to like get into, because we're used to everything being presented to us what in terms of TV or movie as either documentary or fiction, which I mean, like, I don't know, like it's very like intro to film to be like those are like real categories, in the sense that it's not like nothing is either in one box or another. Like every fiction film is going to have certain elements that are not planned for that just ended up in it. Even like the most high budget production is going to have whether it's people ad-libbing or like things that happen in the background or expressions that cross people's faces that are not totally planned for. Nothing is totally planned for. And of course, every documentary is a production where choices are being made and things are being presented in a certain way. But we're used to everything being aesthetically like boxed in one way or another, and reality TV is kind of like landing somewhere in the middle. So if you're expecting pure documentary, you're like, well, these aren't like documentary aesthetics.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like somebody just walked into a room with a handheld camera and is like randomly catching things, which is what you associate with like authenticity visually. But then if you like were watching it as like a scripted show, people are going to be like way less coherent than they would be if it was like a scripted thing. So then it doesn't really read that way either. So it kind of lands somewhere in the middle. And I think that's something that allows moments that do feel more authentic to come through, because having like a contrast between like a high production value and somebody saying something that maybe they didn't plan to say, they didn't think they were going to say, can kind of set it off a little bit more and have those like spikes of authenticity. But yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind anyways that like the idea of what's authentic and what isn't is often just like pure aesthetic choices, and it's kind of like a made up thing.
Yeah, and I think that this like idea of reality, like the word reality, kind of makes people feel as though there should not be a storyteller. There should not be someone that is crafting a narrative throughout these shows, even though that's something that we see in documentary. Like documentarians have a clear perspective. They're definite like storytellers, but in reality TV, I feel like a lot of the notions that people have of it is that it's not going to be narratively strong. But in actuality, I think that the narrative is the strength of these shows, and the characters have more depth and higher actual stakes than you could ever have a fictional actor like buy into. You can't have someone an actor is not going to necessarily be worried about being canceled for something that they are saying in a script, because they know how this plays out, and people know that this is that it is fiction. But here it's reality. These are real people that are motivated real um by real motivations, and they've got actual stakes in the game. So I think that even if there are situations that are constructed by production, and um there is this there is a story that is being told, that is crafted by producers and editors, it still is authentically people that have motivations that they have to think about and be concerned with. And it's something that you can't truly control actual people in the same way that you can a fictional character.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Craig? Sorry, can you? Wait,
Ben, what are your thoughts on authenticity?
No, like I took it, some of the similar ways you guys did. I took it another way when it came, just to segue what you said, Craig, was about like they're not actors, yes, there might be a script, but I think the word reality TV is kind of evolved, right? Because when I first heard reality TV, unscripted, right? That's so, but I guess reality TV sounds better than, hey, come check out this unscripted TV show. I don't want to watch this, but it's almost like now you can't call reality TV unscripted because, as Craig just mentioned, and even in the episodes, Real Housewives of Atlanta and the actually pretty much just that one. You actually saw a producer in one of the shots, basically like, hey, almost like guiding you want to go there. So it's like, and if you watch enough of these, you know that, okay, obviously the producers are probably encouraging them, behind the scenes to do this. It's rare you see a producer, on camera, but I guess we're this deep into the reality TV, and now it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. We can just have the producers on, on air, just because we all know. And then but you're right. So to me, when I thought about authenticity, it was when a lot of these, you think I was going way back when I said Survivor 2000. I'm going back to the first Real World, for example, right? Yeah. Each character was authentic, it was new, and that was actually, sort of like those that about like, not really documentary, but it kind of, it's not really documentary, but it kind of had the vibe of a documentary in a sense, right? Because all the people in the house, what's happening. So each, I can't remember all the characters' names. There's one, I should say character. There's one house guest, Puck, right? And I can't remember if you remember him. Remember in 1994. So Puck. So I guess I don't know if he was like a shit disturber or what have you, right? But he was kind of, the villain. He was like a villain if you want, right? But that was completely authentic, right? That was just him, right? So as each season evolved, who's going to be this year's? Who's going to be Puck? So then it kind of came less. When I think authentic, it was less authentic because someone is trying to be that previous, authentic person, right? So it was, who's going to be this year's villain? But it was, I like it, I like when there's like, this person is just an authentic villain. Sometimes with The Bachelor, this person is just, I love it because this is who they are, right? They're not putting on a show. And now, so with The Bachelor, for example, in Bachelor in Paradise, which I do agree is kind of better because it seems it's more relaxed and it's more, it's almost like it's easy. It's also, they're easier to find love on Bachelor in Paradise because now on The Bachelor, the whole goal is, okay, I got to make it to the top four. It's rare that someone just outwardly plays the villain, right? Now it's like, okay, I got to get it far enough so I can get some sponsorships, right? So I can get some Instagram followers. Yeah. And then I get to Bachelor in Paradise, and now I'm set with Bachelor Nation, get some appearances. So it's kind of, that's like a job now, right? So you find it's less authentic. Like back in the old days, it was just like, I say old days, but earlier seasons, it was like Vienna and Jake. Okay, Jake is a tool. Vienna's nuts. Yes, can't wait for them to get together. That's who they are, right? But now I find it, the authenticity is kind of being, it's more lost. But with the Real Housewives, for example, it's kind of true. But then that is kind of more, because they are real people. They are real people. It's not a competition, right? Like I know they're kind of getting paid, but it is more authentic, I would say. So I just find that with authenticity in these reality shows or unscripted, it's the first couple seasons. That's when you really see the authenticity, like the real people. But then after a while, people just try and just like anything else, right? It's derivative. So everybody just tries to, I'm going to be this year. I'm going to be this, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But look up Puck. I can't remember. Don't get me wrong. I didn't do a deep dive. No, because I read something about this, and it's just as soon as that was one of the things, authenticity. That's immediately what I thought of, and how just after a while, that's why Real World happened. That people just stopped being themselves, and it's just they're playing a previous real person.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how real people inform and shape and modify these archetypes that are that are so prevalent within reality. Because like you said, you'll have these people in the early days of reality TV that became like the prototypes for these archetypes that you see in reality TV. And then each show kind of crafts their own versions of these. Like you said, in The Bachelor, you've got a villain. That there's always some sort of villain that is in the sort of the Greek chorus of contestants that are vying for love, and that kind of shifts and people take it and put their own spin on it, and it builds and changes. And I think that is one thing that is really interesting about reality TV, because yes, these archetypes, if someone is trying to, fit into them, that does kind of dull the edge of authenticity on these. But at the same time, I think I think the producers are good enough at their job that they're able to identify when someone is, bringing something to these archetypes that comes from themselves, and they are able to like coach that out of them. So I think that it is an interesting balance that people on reality shows have to walk if they want to be successful, by fitting into these archetypes if that's what they're going for, and being authentic to their true selves. Did you guys have any other thoughts on authenticity before we move on?
Well, just jumping on that idea of like which personalities come off as more authentic on camera, I really think that there too, it's important to keep in mind that like authenticity is always going to be a performance. Like it's always going to be a way that you have of presenting yourself that reads as authentic. And I think that there's a distinction that can be made between that and something that actually like feels very real. It might sound like splitting hairs, but like if you try to think of like what's the ideal of like an authentic performance, whether it's Bob Dylan singing a song or like Marlon Brando in A Streetcar Named Desire or something, like if you think those guys didn't put tons of like thought and effort into constructing that personality, I think you're wrong. Like that's like
Right.
it takes so much work and thought and like theory to build that kind of authenticity. And I think in terms of reality TV, the issue is that for most human beings, if you've got a bunch of cameras pointed at you and you're mic'd up, you're barely going to be able to be coherent. That's just the reality for most people. Like and I think it's important not to lose sight of the fact that most of the people who are watching on these shows are people who are just really good at what they do because they've been selected for this group. And, just like we were doing a show yesterday, me and Craig, about Vanderpump Rules, a show we talk about a lot. And, I was talking about how Raquel is like kind of really bad on camera, especially when she's being confronted. That's, one of the characters in the show who's like, just like is bad at being coherent and speaking communicatively. And like,
that's real
people,
though.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. Most people are going to be like that when you have a camera stuck in your face. That's normal. That's just human. But because most people are going to be like that, they're not going to be able to express who they are. They're not going to be able to really express what they think because they're going to freeze up. They're going to trip over their words because it's hard to do that when you've got a fucking camera pointed at you. So the people who are best able to express themselves and are best able to come off as being authentic because they can actually like relax, ignore the camera, find the right words to say like how they think, those are the most practiced performers.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make about it, like how like the people who come off as most authentic are the ones who are doing the most performance. And
they're good at keeping it together. Yeah, like it's a skill. Like it's amazing. Like
for sure.
Yeah, and I think that kind of character trait also lends itself well to these dramatic reality shows, because people that are practiced at putting up a front end, and being really good at presenting this image of themselves that they want to communicate. I think like there's a certain like duplicitness to that. If someone is walking around and just only putting out there the kind of image of themselves that they want others to perceive, then they'll probably be very good on this. But that also speaks a little bit to their character, unless they've done a lot of training to get to that point.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Dylan. I just get so passionate about authenticity. It's just a big passion of mine. No, but it's, to me, when I was like watching this video, that was the tagline. So I was kind of like thinking of authenticity when I was watching these two episodes. And I just find it amazing how like you said, like if I had cameras in my face, and maybe you just get used to it, right? Like anything else, like it just becomes part of the norm, like wearing a mask, not to bring back COVID, but just that what seemed crazy, it was wild became normal, right?
Yeah.
But you have a microphone pack on your bag, you have strangers in your house. Who's this? Like, oh, this is a new cameraman? Like, I've never seen this guy before. I'm displaying my bare emotions. Like, oh, this is a new guy. I don't recognize him. Like, are you a sub? Like, yeah, it's just so there's all those other elements. I guess maybe you just got so used to it. I just find it amazing how, like, if that was me, I'd be just looking at when do you stop looking at the camera, right? Like, how do you just when do you forget that everything is around you? Like, how do you, perform, right? Or maybe you don't. Like one about, I haven't seen I've heard of Lisa Vanderpump. Don't get me wrong. I've heard of the Vanderpump. Yeah. Yeah, but I would, the camera's right here in your face, like, producer, you've heard some horrible news, and then it's like, hey, like, you're on. I'm like,
you start getting emotional, and somebody's adjusting focus on you.
Yeah. And then producer another. Okay, now hit him with this. Hit him with another low blow. Right? Okay, they're really. Let's really get her going.
Yeah, it's interesting because like, we don't see it, but obviously there are certain things that you have to do when you're producing a show and you're shooting these scenarios. Like, obviously there's at some point, they're going to have someone holding up a card to like white balance the cameras on when they're shooting in different scenarios. So, it's not, the production is going to obviously be on someone's like front of mind when they are in these scenarios and operating as a character on reality TV. So to be able to get past that is definitely a hurdle that people would have to get over.
Yeah. And maybe we would, maybe we think we could, I'm sure we all could. Like, if we had cameras in our face right now for this, I'm sure you guys have done, many episodes. I'm sure you wouldn't even notice it after a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Unless producers and Craig's, all right, hit him with this one, right? And the meltdown,
Yeah, I do think most people have a lot harder of a time with that than we tend to think they do.
Yeah,
like I think like you said, like us, I think all of us have done like some level of performance. I know you've done a lot of performance, Ben. So it's like you're probably better at doing that than the average person would be, right? I think.
Oh, you think so? Craig has seen me at. Craig has seen me at. It's I know, I'm not horrible. Yeah.
But also, like when I like reading about film, often I think people will interpret like something as improvised when it's completely planned and scripted, and will interpret something as planned and scripted when it's improvised. Like, people tend to be bad at reading what is actually like an off the cuff moment versus what is a planned moment. It just doesn't always look the way you would think it would. So I guess
that's a great point, because in comedy, I see what it's like. Yeah, in comedy, so you can have an off the cuff moment, right? We had a running joke with former comedian, John B. Duff, R.I.P., where he had this one off the cuff thing. Oh, he said something and it came out wrong. He's like, oh, I didn't mean to say that, and it was authentic. You know what I mean? That kind of trope. Oh, did I say that? And it was legitimate the first time, right? He made a word slip up, and then it got a laugh. Like, oh, I'm gonna incorporate that into my act, and then it became acting, right? This off the cuff thing was acting, and then so he'd say it, and then it's like, did I say that? Like, it just seemed so forced and so inauthentic. It was so forced, and like, we could just say it was a running joke, so we could just tell, like, oh, here it comes, and then because the beats were all off, right? It was just like, it felt so okay. Oh, did I and this happened? Oh, did it? I didn't have it. It just seemed so forced, right? As opposed to the first time when it was like a legitimate reaction, and so it was like, yeah, you're right. So what seemed like it was acting was actually off the cuff, and the off the cuff part was like, okay, man, this is the worst acting job we've ever seen, But
did
anyway.
Did you guys have any final thoughts on authenticity before we get into the material?
And scene? Thank you. Yeah. That was all active.
I don't want us to get hung up on this too long, but I do have a lot of thoughts. Just like really quickly before wrapping up, I just also like want to say that I think if like in a lot of these reality TV shows now, they don't really make it a point to hide the fact that there are cameras and lights and people wearing mic packs and stuff. It's not like it's not as if anybody was ever like a child with no object permanence who didn't realize that, oh my God, they're actually being filmed. This isn't just being transmitted right into my room. Like, I just think that if that feels like a transgression of the form, it's just because we're used to documentary, like pretending that that there aren't cameras there, even though like the classic documentary techniques like talking heads and voiceover and like handheld cameras are like ways that enforce the idea that we're watching like a document, that there are people holding the cameras, and I just think that like, well, even though we tend to read that as like breaking through the reality of the moment, we read that just because we're used to a certain like aesthetic language. Like, it's not like because something has a voiceover or because this talking head interview has like a static camera, and after somebody stops talking, you let the shot linger on them for a few seconds where they look a little bit awkwardly, which is the documentary technique that annoys me the most. As if you know what I mean? Like, somebody will say like, oh yeah, I think that's true, and then they'll leave the shot linger a few seconds, and the audience is supposed to be like, oh my God, they're looking around the room, they're uncomfortable, they're nervous. All these techniques are such like techniques that are just like really manipulating everything that's being presented to us, but that's normal. Everything we're going to see is presented to us, and I just think that if reality TV has kind of more and more forsaken the idea of imitating the documentary language and using like more of a polished dramatic fiction language, like visual language, in terms of the way that they move the cameras on tracks and like have like bright lighting and stuff and montages between scenes, I think that's really to the form's benefit, just because it allows little moments that feel sublime when somebody says something that feels like oh my God, I just like saw a part of them that I never seen before. It just stands out that much more when it's not against this backdrop that this aesthetic backdrop that seems designed to try to convince you phonally, in my opinion, that everything you're seeing is like total truth from start to finish, the way that documentaries try to like kind of cast that spell over you and being like, these are the techniques that make you comfortable with the idea of thinking that everything is true, if that makes any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's interesting, I think, that like any language, the aesthetic language of reality TV is constantly evolving. Like, we are seeing it does, like you said, have roots within documentary, but we see things creep into the language more recently. Like, you mentioned the sort of the putting the mic packs on and the various elements of production that kind of creep in. But I think one of the big ones within Real Housewives is we see the glam squads coming in and getting them like dressed up, putting on the makeup, getting dressed and everything creep into the show. And now that's just something that you expect to see. We don't just see them in the like fully dressed up when they're going out for dinner on a group trip or whatever. We see the process of them getting ready for that as part of what we expect to see during these moments. So I think that's interesting. I do want us, we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I do want to move on a little bit. We're going to be covering Real Housewives of New Jersey and Real Housewives of Atlanta. New Jersey was the reunion, and Atlanta was a great episode. Ben, which of these episodes was most compelling to you?
Well, Real House, I mean, they were both compelling because I've never seen either one. I've heard of a couple of I've heard of one person for Real Housewives of New Jersey. I learned how to pronounce her last name. Giudice, not Guiducci, or I think Teresa. But I liked. I should say I liked. Most compelling one was the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Me. Yeah. Well, let's start with the Atlanta. What were your first impressions of the characters on it? Okay, so I like them all. I thought Kenya was. I like Kenya's vibe. I thought she was the most authentic. I thought she, didn't take herself too seriously. She had she owns a hair studio.
she was okay with
more hair care.
Getting more hair care. The marching band, she was kind of about her business. So at the beginning of the episode, she seemed, pretty chill. And then I saw sorry, looking over my notes. Yeah, the marching band, like in her hair salon. The Sonia, I thought was pretty not funny, but she seemed like she'd. So Kenya seemed authentic. Was she Miss Universe or Miss Canada, or not Miss Canada?
She was
America?
Miss USA, I think.
Okay, yeah, because I saw later episode, yeah, and then Sonia, I thought was funny. She had her mom working for her sister, her brother-in-law, her brother-in-law Tyrell was just hilarious. He was like, all right, by the end of the episode, he's just like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm not working for you, right?
Yeah.
because at the beginning of the episode, because Sonia, Sherry, Sharon, the dad was great too. I like Archie and his fake offer to help, right?
Yeah.
I'll help. You don't even know how to send an email. He's like, yeah, all right. Yeah. He's like, hey, I offered, right? Yeah.
Ready, willing, and able.
Yeah.
Like, all right, thanks for that empty gesture.
Yeah, I love it.
You're not going to do anything.
Yeah. But it was funny because I hired, Sonia hired Tyrell as her assistant. And just briefly, when they're sitting around the kitchen table, and she's like going through her notes. I was like, man, you gave him a lot of tasks for one day. It just seemed it was a lot. It just seemed, again, I don't know if it was acting, I don't know if it was acting or not, but she seemed like she'd be difficult to work for. Marlo, I thought was great. I guess she had a charge about 20 years ago.
Yeah, she stabbed someone apparently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm really hoping she gets her right to bear arms back. I mean, I was kind of hoping, we get by the end of the episode, we should, get her record expunged and right to bear arms.
Yeah, this was really interesting to me. This was, I think, the biggest note that I had, because the last episode we saw that she was really worked up about gun violence. In this episode, she's trying to get her record expunged so that she can get a gun.
Yeah, but it's not like it's without reason. Like, we see that she had a break-in at her house.
Like, those four people. And they're shooting at Candy's restaurant. So, I mean, but the way they were talking about
the culture at Candy's restaurant is the problem, not introducing more guns into the world.
But it was funny to me, not funny, but it was just Marlo when she's talking about, they're talking about the passing of the worker from Candy's restaurant. But she's like in a skeleton costume, like a Halloween shoot. Like, you couldn't have this conversation without being in full costume. They're having this serious conversation, but dressed in can't interrupt this Halloween. Hey, it's my annual Halloween photo shoot. Like, nothing. This is number one priority. But so that was
just gonna have this very serious discussion dressed as Phoebe Bridgers.
Well, I have face paint on. Yeah. So it was, So and then there was Sherry. I think was trying to have a baby. I like Sherry. She's trying to have a baby.
Oh, Cherie, yeah.
Or Cherie, sorry. Yeah, and then and then it was good. It was funny that Kenya's inviting the whole crew. Hey, we're going to Birmingham for some black tie event. It's like a Winnipeg pub. It was just
Marlo called it though. Marlo called it in the ad. She's like, I'm not going to be worried about what I'm dressed. It's Birmingham.
I've noticed that too. That's very funny. That was really funny. Birmingham. Yeah. And they get there. The funniest to me is they're all dressed up, and they're one of the bartenders, and white girl, whatever, just wearing a red T-shirt from the bar. They're all dressed up. This might as well be a Montana, right? It's like a Montana's employee. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. And then, and then Kenya, and then I guess there was, I didn't know, and then the houses themselves, one of the things with the houses, they're nice, right? They're rich.
Yeah.
But for me, they're big mansions. Where's the water slide in the house? I want to see, the extravagance, the opulence, right? Because all the houses kind of seem, they're very nice houses. They'll have more wealth than I'll ever have, right? Unless this podcast episode makes it big, fellas. Unless, somehow those sponsorships roll in. But so they're nice. But there's, there's no gaudiness, right? Everything's too, it sounds like, cookie cutter, opulence, right?
Yeah, where's the gold-plated double staircase? Where's the den of ostriches and hippopotamuses out back? Like, give me some weird shit.
Yeah, give me some weird shit. Exactly. Yeah. I know it was all. Yeah, it was good. Marlo was I like Marlo. Yeah, like Birmingham. Like I don't give a shit. And then even at lunchtime, we said, oh, maybe I'll just talk to myself then. And then Ken's like, oh, you can't talk over me. And or it was a Bryce or Marlo. We're like, who are you that I can't talk over you? I'm like, yeah, Marlo. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, what, like, for the progression of the season? Because that's my first episode in, so I can see, seems like there's frenemies, and it's also a TV show, so it's. Actually, last thing before I jump in, I like the limo. I like the Mercedes like limo rides. You got like the four main ones that they're all piling up.
Yeah.
It's so funny to see the two people. Like, why are you sitting together right behind each other? There's like more seats on the other side of the big Mercedes like van. Like you can. Why are those two women like? I think it's Moneta. They're just sitting like the two extras. They're just kind of hanging on to the back. It's like no, it's spread out. It just looks like hey, don't forget. It's like hey, don't forget about us. Kind of vibe.
The camera crew's got to be somewhere, right?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. That's true. I'm just a rookie. You're right. Good call. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Dylan, what were your highlights?
I mean, I would like to just quickly circle back to Sonia and her family because I thought her family was so mean to her. I thought they're being mean to her. She's giving them jobs. They're living in her house. And then she's like, well, we were thinking that maybe we kind of want, me and my husband maybe want to, have our own place. And her sister is like, wow. Okay, I'm not saying she's self-centered, but she's selfish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, you're living in her place. Like, I mean, at the same time, like, I guess that I know that like expectations for family is like very cultural too. Like we get this a lot of that in New Jersey with like the Italian families always telling us about like how, Italian families always do things this way. And, she's got a Jamaican family. I know that like family things are always very like culturally specific. So I don't know what the expectations are, I guess. Maybe from like a normal Jamaican family perspective, Sonia's doing something that's like inappropriate. But for me, I'm just kind of like, it's, she's like providing this whole economy that you're living in and this house. Like maybe let her do what she wants to do. I don't know. I thought she was really mean to her to like call her self-centered on camera and then like walk out of their meeting.
And then not show up at the photo shoot.
Yeah.
They were sick, Craig. They were sick.
They had a doctor
there's a lot of coughing in that episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of illness.
And Sonia says something like, what are they going to do? Talk to HR? I am HR. And as she says it, you can kind of see her like realizing like, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Yeah, maybe this is why they're not here. Yeah.
Everybody's just going to complain to me all the time, which is what they're doing already.
Yeah, I thought that I thought that her family seemed like they were overstepping as well because, she says, it's been a year and we're kind of thinking that maybe you should move out. And then her mom and sister are like, well, we said a year or two. It's like, well, yeah, it's still been a year and we're assessing at a year. That's still within, the window that we initially said.
I mean, Sonia was being like very like defensive and apologetic. I was kind of thinking like, no, you stand your ground. You're right. You have that right. I mean, this is your place. Like you have that right. But I don't know. Maybe, like I said, it's family stuff. So that's going to be like very thorny anyways. But that's also why I thought she's from the start, like this situation is like rife for conflict because you've got all your family living under one roof and they're all working for you. Like, Christ, that sounds terrible to me.
Oh, it does. It's straining my relationship with my sister. It's like, well, obviously, like her husband is working for you. Like it was just a weird situation. But you're right, it is family dynamic. So for me, just coming in, I didn't take it to she's I took it she's being mean. But you're right, I do agree. Like you guys all live in her house, like, and it's also family too. So I think whatever, like however they act towards each other, it's just is it really? Like, oh, I'm walking out of here forever. No, you're not. You're coming back tonight, right?
Yeah, it's harder to judge those things with family because they have like their own internal dynamics that are harder for us to like us to judge as we would than just like friend dynamics, which are all
Right.
more or less the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
I did like, I always like a great appearance from like a random professional who shows up at a scene. So I wanted to do a shout out to the gynecologist, who was really funny.
Oh,
a great delivery on looking at the ultrasound and being like, "Oh, have you been trying?"
Yeah.
Trying for what? And she's like, I'm just messing with you. She clearly makes that joke all the time, but she does it really well. And
that's a mean joke, though. What if
it is? That's a pretty harsh one. I'm glad she's not like a cancer doctor or something. She can really hurt some people. She also did a bit of a line at the end where Sheree says something like, "Don't you have anything stronger?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll get my stash."
Yeah, my stash. Yeah.
So yeah, I love a funny gynecologist. So a great little walk on cameo there. I did I just as like a production thing, I thought it was funny when you had Kenya explain why Candy wasn't there, and they had like a very blatant like bit of audio that was stitched in where she's like, Candy had a prior commitment to the Ebony Power 100.
Yeah, top one. And they put it on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know if like she said it wrong or she didn't know where Candy was or something, but they just very awkwardly stitched that in the edit. That was really funny. It reminded me of that episode of The Simpsons where they go to the Super Bowl, and of course they made the episode before they knew who was playing, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going to be cheering for the Philadelphia Eagles" or something. Yeah. Do you think that like Coach Niles, who coached the dancing, do you think he knew that his shirt was misspelled? Was that like
the your? Yes.
Yeah. I guess the benefit of the doubt would be that that's like some sort of in joke or something, maybe some reference to something. But yeah,
I didn't notice that at all. What did it say?
He was wearing.
What
like
were you watching,
branded
Craig?
Pay attention. Notes. Have you heard of it? No. He had a shirt that was like a branded shirt for his dad's studio that said, "I guess you're not flexible," but your was spelled like YOUR. So I don't know if he just like printed them out wrong or if that was like some sort of weird reference. I don't know.
I'm wondering. I mean, I like to think it's kind of because like that whole your thing's been out. That's been out for so long now, or past couple years. Seems like it's a huge thing. I think it's got to be ironic.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I'm probably
unless that was the first. The first time he's on camera. Oh, you got to get these shirts. You got to print a shirt really quick, right? And it's a rush job, right? Yeah. It's just like a hot off the shirt. The printing press, right? Rush job.
Yeah, or maybe Coach Niles is just like such a nice guy that like nobody has the heart to tell him that he misprinted his shirt.
Well, let's dial him up. Let's call him.
Yeah, Coach Niles. Yeah. There's a bar where I grew up. Right here. There's a bar I grew up that like you're not flexible. It's probably back to there was this bar in where I grew up, and these guys called the Warehouse, just a literal warehouse in Regina. Like no decor. It's just all right. You guys want to booze? Pay $10 to drink in this barn. And then there's like their shirts were, if you're not wasted, the day is. And the your was spelled wrong. Not ironically, right? So it's not wasted. Yeah. Like, cool shirts, fellas. Yeah. But I like Coach Niles though. He was just I don't know if he did a lot of coaching. I mean, it was a couple moves, really.
A little bit of a history lesson in there about the dance style. That's
true. Mm-hmm. Were you guys happy with the result with the competition?
So this, I was disappointed that this decided a room, which is usually a source of like drama on a trip. I felt like this was a bit of a cop out. We didn't really get the fight that we normally see, but then as soon as we got to the hotel, you realize it's just a Birmingham hotel. So I understand why like no one was going to be clamoring over each other for these rooms anyways. So I did think ultimately this was a good way to handle it.
Yeah.
There was only one nice room it seemed, and that was Kenya's. The other one seemed pretty small. I didn't like Marla. I don't know why they take a shot at the small bottles of champagne. I thought it was a nice. I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, one of those small bottles costs like $100 anyways. Like,
yeah. It's like, where's my gift bag? It was like, you were just making fun of Birmingham. You expect a gift bag? Like, I thought this was Birmingham appropriate. I thought it was apropos for this trip.
Yeah, I gotta say, Marlo really rubbed me the wrong way near the end, and not just because she was being like really aggressive and trying to start fights. Like that was kind of annoying too. But just as like I work in hospitality, and seeing Marlo walk into two separate places and immediately be like, "Got to get a manager now." I'm like, this is what she is, one of those people who everywhere she goes needs to talk to a manager. That's just really, really irritating. And I secretly feel like that's why they got kicked out of that party, was because Marlo was like, all right, I got to get a manager here. We got to get some champagne and glasses.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is a charity function.
Yeah, this is a fundraiser. Like, this is a fundraiser for HBCUs. Like, yeah.
So when they got kicked out, I was kind of like, yeah, you had that fucking coming.
Yeah. That is pretty funny. I mean, it is pretty funny getting kicked out. Of a charity.
It's funny because they were like mocking everybody there.
Yeah,
there's people with jeans.
Yeah.
What the fuck are these people doing? And then they're like, we need you to leave. Yeah. And I was kind of like, yeah, we fucking do.
But do you think Kenya, was she just like oblivious to what this event was? Oh, it's this Met Gala event, or do you think she knew what it was and she just kind of undersold it to the other housewives?
I think she was just trying to hype it up too much. I think she was just trying to present the idea of giving everybody a luxurious experience. She got too caught up in the hype, oversold
right.
it.
Especially with the halftime show. At first, I thought it was a bigger game, and she's like, "There's gonna be like 15,000 people there." I'm like, okay, it's not, maybe there'll be 15,000, but it's not one of the. I thought, oh, Alabama, but it's not gonna be University of Alabama, right? Because it's Birmingham, so maybe it's a smaller scale. So I guess that once I heard the 15,000, I figured, okay, this enjoy Birmingham. I don't know if this is going to be, like
if she sold it as 15,000 people, there's going to be like 72.
Yeah, but I like Kenya. She's my favorite, though. I like Kenya.
I like her. She's fun.
Yeah. Just oblivious. That's what I kind of like. Just water up and down. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess I lied. Anyway, like I just do my own thing. Yeah, it's great. Until the end, though.
I really appreciated Kenya's move of going back to the hotel and then just like dipping out early. That's definitely something that I have pulled on a few occasions. Just like dipping out early on my own event.
Yeah.
Does she go back to Atlanta?
Sorry?
Did she go back to Atlanta?
No. She went back to her.
Oh, she went to the hotel. Yeah, because I saw the hotel. Yeah, she was with her daughter. Yeah, but she had her daughter there.
Yeah.
No, I was on her side when she's like, "Get the fuck away from my door."
Yeah.
You go in your room and lock your door. Just like fucking. Who cares if you're upset? Just stop fucking kicking the door. And Marlo's like, "This is my invitation to just dial it up a notch," because Marlo's just looking to fight. You're right.
Yeah.
She's really looking to fight. So when Kenny gets mad at her, she's like, "All right, here we go. I'm gonna like fucking barge this door down like I'm a SWAT team."
Yeah, I think this is a bit of like a strategic misplay from Marlo too, because I feel like she is trying to actually wage a proxy war against Candy. That's where there's like a real beef. We saw her lash out at Drew last episode. Now she's like taking out this energy on Kenya, but all she's doing is really just giving everyone else ammunition against her. Mm-hmm. So I don't think she's being as effective as she wants to be, but it still is fun to watch.
Yeah, I like pettiness. Pettiness can be fun, right?
I mean, it's so important for these shows, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need that. They have to drum up something.
They would have no fuel if people weren't petty.
Yeah. But it's funny. Actually, one of my favorite parts was, I think, was Kenya calling Juanita her emotional support companion. Oh, you mean friend? you mean friend?
Yeah.
Also, what was so wrong with what Juanita was wearing that she was like, "No, you have to go change and then meet us there later"?
Yeah, expecting her to be in a gown or something.
Yeah, and then Juanita's like, and then you guys couldn't wait. Like it's 8:15. How long?
They arrive at the same time. Yeah.
Juanita's already there. He's like, hey guys. Like,
and somebody's like, "Oh, I was expecting the Met Gala." Well, you know who was dressed most Met Gala-ish was Juanita in her original fucking Mylar outfit thing. like, man, you guys were angry at her, but if you ever got caught in a wildfire there, you'd be really glad that she was the one there to throw a Mylar blanket over you.
But between the camera crew and like the Housewives, like they were taking up half the event.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing. It was clearly a very busy event too, so they must have been spending the whole time be like, okay, make room. We got to get the cameras and the mics in here. Like, of course, the people hosting the event were like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Where's the champagne? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's like a toonie bar. Yeah, sorry. We don't. It's a fundraiser. Yeah, it was.
It's weird how Kenya is like, oh, you can't wear booty shorts because it's a charity event. Oh, but you can barge in with a bunch of cameras and demand champagne. Like, that's fine, but like, oh no, your shorts are too short. You can't do that at a charity event. Strange logic to me.
I think all of our American listeners are Googling Toonie Bar right now, probably to figure out what the hell you're talking about. Did you guys have any other thoughts on Real Housewives of Atlanta?
I would quickly like to talk about Marlo a little bit more before we go, because she was doing a whole lot of stuff this episode. In terms of the stuff with Candy, it's like, I mean, we'll see, I guess, because we didn't have Candy in this episode at all, right?
Yeah.
I do think that it's like it's totally fair for her to, based on the evidence we've seen, to like accuse Candy of not showing enough like sympathy and support.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For her nephew's death. Absolutely. It is not fair to like imply that the culture at her restaurant is to blame. Like that's taking it to a place that I think is like just not appropriate. But feeling like total upset with Candy and the way that she handled it is totally fair. And you know what? I don't think it's ridiculous that she wants to have a gun when she's in like a people that are close to her have died in violence, that she's like feels unsafe in her house because she's had a break-in. I get that, like the usual like pro gun control argument is just have less guns, but in like obviously she's in a potentially dangerous situation. Sometimes the members of her family are, and I think it's fair that she wants to like be able to defend herself. So I do have some like sympathy for Marlo for those stuff, but but towards the end of the episode, she was just dialing shit up so far and just like so ready to start fights that I was just like, oh my God, shut up, Marlo. So I guess that's basically all I have to say about her at this time, and we'll see how it goes with her and Candy later on, I guess.
Yeah, and Marlo didn't outright say that it was the culture at Candy's restaurant. I think that was actually really Courtney that said
who
that.
Dialed it up to that point. Yeah. Marlo kind of implied like what's going on in that restaurant, and Courtney was like, oh, maybe the culture's off or something like that. And since we brought up Courtney, I do like that Kenya was finally like, oh, so y'all are cousins, right?
Yeah.
Like what like first cousin, second cousin.
Yeah.
Courtney's like, oh yeah, I don't know. And Kenya correctly was saying what I think a lot of us were thinking watching the show, like, if you're gonna be claiming kin, you better have your story straight.
Yeah.
But also Kenya was, but she was accusing Marlo of being aggressive, I think, to Candy. It's like you were yelling over her. It's like, no, Marlo was like, I was sitting down, and they show back to the they had the cameras. Yeah, Marlo was sitting down, not being aggressive. But I like how Kenya's just like, whatever, I said what I said. I kind of like how she believes her own reality.
I felt like that was actually a misleading edit there. Because,
me too.
Oh, was it? Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Because we do actually, like, that scene ends with her shouting in her face.
Yeah.
She shouts in Drew's face right before she storms off. It's like she is sitting in that shot they show.
Yeah.
But before she leaves, she like leans right into the Drew's face and shouts at her.
Okay, you got I stank correct. I'll have to read. Oh, that stank correct. You guys are.
You have to go back and watch the previous episode.
You have to watch the episode, like episode 2. I think is when that happened, or no, it's the last one.
Yeah, it was episode 3. I think.
Okay, I say well then, Kenya in my bad books. Okay, my bad.
The other thing that we didn't talk about is this discussion surrounding eating ass.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the booty thing. Yeah.
It got very philosophical.
Yeah. Yeah. This is this was interesting to me, or maybe not interesting. I just found it like
as an ass eating aficionado.
I did like that Kenya was like, oh, why are you bringing this up? This was like just between us. I thought that this was an interesting kind of shift in the dynamic. It kind of was setting up this conflict between Marlo and Kenya, or at least It was the first time that we saw them kind of at odds with each other on this trip. And I thought it was really funny that it was a conversation about eating ass that kind of set this tone.
Yeah.
Let's
it was a weird.
to...
that was a weird. But that was just a weird. Also, that's eating ass. Like, oh, gee, it came out of nowhere. Anyway,
let's move on to the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion. This was probably, up until the Vanderpump reunion, it was the talk of the Twitter and Instagram. Everyone was hyped about this. Tensions were running so high. I want to get your perspective, Ben. Not having seen this season, who do you think came out on top on this reunion?
Oh, Teresa, hands down.
Oh, interesting.
Hands down. The reason being is because I have my notes here. One, because just whatever you said to her, she would win every argument, whether she was right or wrong. It was. I don't want to say I don't want to mean this as a compliment because it's really not, but it's almost Trumpian, right? The way like she command, like she's sitting, she gets the prime. She got the prime spot, right?
Yeah.
She got the prime spot next to Andy. Then she's already got some cachet. Her ex-husband phoning in from jail. I thought he had a couple. I thought was it Joe? I thought he had a couple good.
Calling in from from
Italy.
Bermuda, I think.
Yeah.
Or I thought he had a good line. Then you had Melissa beefing with Teresa. She had her ex calling in. So it was all about Teresa. I just found that whenever they try to, you try to zing her, Teresa's like, oh, you believe it? It's just kind of whatever. And then she would kind of just, like I said, just win every argument, whether she was right or wrong. She believed that she had won. So to me, I thought I would say she looked the best, but I thought she came out on top.
That's interesting because I've watched this episode twice. The first time after I watched it, I was like, oh, Melissa came out on top of that, like doing a blow by blow. I thought, she was on the offense and really landing more blows. And so then when I watched it again, I was like ready to get my Teresa Giudice tattoo covered up and, get my passport to Melissa Nation. And then I watched it the second time and I'm like, oh no, you know what? Teresa actually seems like she's doing better now. So I feel like this reunion is like a bit of an optical illusion, and whichever side that you take, you can kind of read a different view on it. Dylan,
I like that. Yeah, I was gonna say I like that how Teresa tries to game Andy right from the start, just sitting down and be like, "Oh, Joe happens to be on the phone. How about that?" And then is like, "Oh, Andy, feel my heart," and just immediately tries to get Andy to focus all his attention on her and be sympathetic to her. I just thought it was just really funny, gamesmanship to be like, by the way, Andy, me and you are really tight, right?
Yeah.
Remember that, huh?
Some skin to skin bonding.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna just just hack the dopamine in your brain by just having some contact and be like, you're my friend, right? We've always been friends, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I do also like when Andy's saying something like, oh, my kids are saying they want another dad or something, and Teresa's like, let me give you a number.
Yeah.
And you're trying to set him up, and she's like, this is my psychic.
Yeah.
He only cost $100. That was really fun.
Yeah, I thought Andy did a great job at handling this reunion, and a mark of that is that both sides of this Teresa Melissa divide in the fandom are crying foul on him, thinking that
oh really,
he did
that's hilarious.
A bad job of handling.
I thought I agree. I thought he did his best. He was what he's working. He did the best he could. I mean, it's gonna be what else is he supposed to do? He kept it moving enough, I thought, right?
And I don't think that he took one side over the other.
No.
Yeah, just wrapping it up about Teresa, I do think that if I was going to declare a winner, I actually would say Melissa, even though I'm as we've well established on the show that I think we've got a couple of Tre Stumps over here, especially Craig, that I'm more sympathetic to Teresa. I kind of like her more, but I do think that Melissa seemed to have a more coherent story that she was telling, and Teresa seemed to be on more unsure footing. And I thought that actually, viewed in a vacuum, I personally thought that Melissa came off better. Like she was more confident in her version of events. But this is just round one.
Yeah.
One of three. Yes, one of three. Yeah. I saw. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
I think that wasn't wrong. Teresa. Just to clarify my position, I feel like Teresa is more likable. Just like she's got a more likable personality than Melissa does. But I am definitely. I posted on Instagram. I am Team Chaos. So I think they are both fantastic housewives. I think New Jersey would lose a ton if they lost either of them. So I really hope that they are able to overcome things enough so that they can both continue on the show, and continue building this toxic fan base.
Yeah, if I were to choose who I were to have a beer with, even though I don't drink, 2.5 years sober, no big deal. Stronger than both you guys. So
check out Lala over here.
Yeah, or weaker. No, but if I were to have a drink with someone, it would be who would I want to drink with out of there? It'd be Teresa. You know what I mean? I don't want to go. I think Teresa would, or Marge. I think one of those two. I think would just be entertaining. But with Melissa, actually, I was gonna say the fun. Just before my notes here. One time, Teresa said something, and or somebody else said something. Looks like, oh, whatever, looks at her watch, but she doesn't have a watch on, so she quickly just put her wrist down. She's trying to make a point. Oh, never mind. And then I think it was Danielle's grandma. Danielle had mentioned, my grandma just died, and it was almost all of them in unison. They were just like, oh, I'm so sorry. It was almost like it was like the most fake, insincere. Oh, we have to take, but yeah, it just didn't ring true at all. It was. But I like Danielle too, to be honest. I thought she was the most authentic. She's a raunchy Jersey girl. She's kind of proud of it. It's kind of I kind of dug her vibe.
Yeah.
But again, Melissa and Teresa were obviously the Hulk Hogan, macho man, kind of the two stars.
Who's who in that situation?
Good call.
I don't know enough about wrestling to read into that anyway. So
the Mega Powers, no. I was just thinking of the Mega Powers. They're the two heavyweights, right? They were the two. Yeah, I like how it was. Why was it filmed in Ireland? I just felt like I was watching a bachelor reunion. It's like, why are you guys? It was just weird. You guys at this castle in Ireland, for this reunion. I guess free trip. I don't know.
So it was definitely in New Jersey or in LA. It was just themed Irish, an Irish castle, because that's where they had their cast trip.
Yeah, they did do a trip to an actual castle in Ireland, and they were calling back to it by decorating the set as if it was a castle in Ireland.
Yeah, and I don't know how actual a castle this is. I was trying to look up on it, and it seems like it was, I mean, it's a castle, but I couldn't find any history on it other than you being able to rent it out.
I think it's one of those fake castles.
Yeah, I thought, why were they flown to Ireland? Yeah. Why would Joe phone in? I asked you guys, why would he phone in? I mean, that was planned, obviously. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that had to have been planned. I thought that this was
Hey, Joe, what are you doing? You're like, hey, Andy, what's up? Oh, it's a reunion. Oh, really? Oh.
I think it was a good way to kind of diffuse the tension going in because, you don't want the cast and as well as the fans to kind of, lose the steam right out of the gates. You don't want that release to come immediately. You want to build that up over the course of the 2 or 3 episodes, whatever this reunion is.
Oh, gotcha.
So I feel like it's also kind of me just kind of maybe overthinking Teresa's strategy, because I feel like I underestimated her for a lot of the season. So now maybe I'm overestimating her strategically after the finale. But I saw it as her kind of reminding Andy about earlier versions of the show. And to kind of make him think about the long history they have together.
Right. Yeah.
And how much he has brought to the show, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. I like Joe. He had a great joke. Confused right away. he's like, oh, it's my favorite show. And then I think it was other Teresa. Did you watch it in prison? Well, the guys I was with didn't really watch this, like the stuff or whatever. It was cellmates. I thought it was a good. I thought that was a good.
Yeah,
it was good. Like it was a good tone setter, right? For like you said, for the show, it was like the thing. It was a good tone setter.
Yeah, didn't he say something like, "Yeah, there was a guy, there was a group of guys in prisons who watched it, but I didn't hang out with that group."
Yeah, I didn't hang out with that group. Yeah. It was good. Yeah. And then so Teresa got remarried, and Melissa didn't go to the wedding, right? Was that it?
Yeah, Melissa and Joe did not go to the wedding.
Yeah. So I guess they were busy, and then they were like posting on Instagram like, "Who needs a wedding?" So that looked petty to me.
Yeah, no, it was a choice. They decided not to go to the wedding.
Yeah.
It was a
the culmination of a season-long feud, really.
Yeah, or decades long.
Yeah, right.
And then Teresa, I don't like maybe So I'm new to this. Like Teresa, so she has 2 kids, and now they're giving Melissa the cold shoulder. And I think when Teresa was like, "No, I never said that. I never." She's like trying to play. Like her kids are just doing it on purpose. Her kids are just doing it on their own volition. I thought that was. I like Teresa, man. I like her moves. There's a reason why she's like the OG, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
She's been in jail. Her husband's in jail. Ex-husband's in jail. And you think, what are you gonna do, Melissa?
Well, he got deported.
Right, what are you gonna do? Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, like I said, Teresa and Melissa are both great housewives, and this reunion really gave me a new appreciation for what Melissa brings. I think she has to work a lot harder than Teresa does. Teresa is like effortless in how she navigates things, and I think in this reunion episode, that approach wasn't as fruitful as it is during the regular season. I think that's why, Melissa, who is more calculated and prepared and like works at things, I think that's why she came across a lot better in this reunion than Teresa did. But yeah, they're both fantastic. Don't at me, or do. That might be good for our engagement on our Instagram.
Yeah, at him, not me though.
That's I like that point. Like Teresa is just effortless. Like she's made. I don't know if she's doing it for so long, but it's just second nature. I don't know. Everything you said to her, she gives the flag. Just like whatever, and it's a skill. Like it just didn't bother her, right? Or outwardly or visually, visibly bother her. Dolores' story. She seems fun. I like Dolores. She seems like she's kind of like the voice of reason. When she spoke, she kind of she serves like a respected voice.
She does serve as a bit of like a viewer's proxy on the show, but she does mix it up a lot more than you see other housewives that kind of fill that role. She had a big conflict with Jen at the beginning of this season, and they were able to get over that. I liked this story of Dolores the Peacemaker. I think that's really suits her quite well, her personality. So seeing her be able to get past this issue with Jen and then patch things up between Rachel and Danielle, I thought that was really nice because I do want to see Rachel and Danielle. I want to see that relationship develop, whether it's being on the same team as a new kind of side in this conflict, so that there are kind of 3 parties that are warring as opposed to, Teresa versus Melissa and Marge. I think that would be an interesting dynamic. Or if they're able to, not get past it and clash. I want to see this evolve. So it was interesting to see them get past this conflict, which, as Andy pointed out, was pretty stupid. Like this fight over like being called a rat was pretty stupid.
Yeah. Jennifer, I don't know, like Jen. Yeah, she didn't get a lot of. I didn't find her interesting at all. Really, this was maybe I had to see the episode, but she didn't really have a lot to offer. And then when she did, she kind of got shot down. But I didn't like her right away. She's like, oh, I have a neck injury, so I can't be, you just say like some boring things. Oh, it's on my neck, so you won't be sitting me turning this way much. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
We didn't see a lot of her, but she had a great season, I thought.
I bet, yeah. She seemed like she was in the middle. She wasn't on the ends. So she, I thought she'd have.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hear from her more in the other reunions, but she just she wasn't really in the discussions that they were having this time around.
No, well, she had the neck thing, right?
Yeah,
so
she had
saving her for. Well, someone does, I just like, oh, sorry, I can't talk a lot today. I have a sore throat. It's like, yeah, I don't even. Cool.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah, noted. I like. I don't. What do you guys think about? Okay, Bo, Bo Deedle knows everything. So that's the private investigator.
Yeah.
Is he going to be on the future reunion? Is he going to be on the?
I wish.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah. I think has spoken out on Instagram though.
Okay, is that Marge's hire?
No, that's Louis' hire, Teresa's husband.
Okay.
Apparently,
allegedly.
Right? Yeah. I like to be. I don't think is Marge for me is like. She just seemed like an outlier on the show. Everyone kind of had a certain look, and then Marge is just just a Karen like right in the middle.
Yeah.
I wish I had a more up to date term than Karen, but yeah, that's what.
Yeah, Marge has I think struggled with an aesthetic. She, I mean,
she has some really good dresses, but then sometimes it's like it doesn't work. But sometimes she has like really good like mid-century modern like classic dresses.
Yeah, she lives in like a magic eye. If you look at her house, you cross your eyes, you can see different things.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what they got. I like. Okay, Marge, I like it. Or Marge, or whatever. Yeah,
that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
And when she came on the show, her trademark was pigtails. Like she had pigtails, and that was kind of her trademark aesthetic. It was a choice. But yeah, I think she's in the slow process of a what do they call it? A glam up or whatever.
Glow up.
Glow up. Thank you. Wow, that was a Teresa moment for me, not being able to put together the turn of phrase. Ben, did you have any other highlights from this?
Yeah, just to go back to the Rachel and Danielle. I like but it's just so funny thinking like grown adults like truth. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, okay, we're all good. I forgive you. Like you actually have to have like a formal
spit shake, guys.
Yeah, like the formal words, truth. I'm like, okay, is it pirate time? No, just we're gonna say, hey, we're good, But yeah, truth was funny to me. The other highlight was Andy throwing in a slightly, hey, or Joe. I think it was Joe's like, I got a few girlfriends or something like that. Your ex-wife is right there. Like, what is that? That's funny. Andy had a bad joke about Dolores, like something not wearing socks. Nobody laughed. So they quickly moved on. I thought that was pretty funny. The joke just quickly moved on. And then I had, Margot, were those real tears at the wedding? Were those crocodile tears, or those real tears?
That read as authentic to me, I think.
Yeah. I just saw the true. Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah. Well, because I didn't really know Margot. It seemed like she was kind of like, everyone else had a certain vibe and aesthetic, and Margot just felt like she was plant. To me, it's just like a plant, right? Like she seemed like a real housewife of like Delaware, right? It doesn't seem like or North Dakota, or North Dakota. Like where does she come? She doesn't have the same vibe as everybody else. It's just like the name Marge, and I think one of the flashbacks, it was a Great Gatsby party. I don't know, and she was like the costume. Just that's a total like. It could be a Great Gatsby party. This is just Marge's, outfit, before a glow up, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I think that's all I have for notes. Oh, Melissa, great house. I like Melissa's new house. I think they were kind of mocking it. I think it looks good.
Oh yeah.
I think it looks like ass.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I thought it was. I thought it looked decent.
I think asses tend to have a bit more definition than Melissa's house.
Yeah.
Maybe I just want a magic eye house. That's what I want. Looking for. I like. Oh, and Margaret, I have juice on everyone. I like that juice.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I have dirt. I have dirt. Now it's juice. I'm learning new words. Or is it an old word? I don't know.
Yeah, they're trying to
I'm
get
learning
around
new words from 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Well,
They're
what
trying
are
to
you
get
laughing
around
there?
this
Why
term
are you
arsenal.
laughing there, Glam Up? Who are you to laugh?
Dylan, what were your highlights from this?
When Rachel is accusing Danielle of being insecure, and Danielle says, "My balls drag out the door."
Yeah.
That was it. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Great Danielle moment.
I liked Marge's moment, Bo Deedle Deedle Dum Deedle Dee.
Yeah, that was funny too. Yeah.
We've had 2 reunions. They've both made Tweedledee and Tweedledum references in them. It's
Lewis Carroll,
weird.
huge influence on
Lewis
Bravo.
Carroll Renaissance underway right now. Yeah.
Can I just ask you guys one question really quick?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't because the reunion, we kind of, and I guess there's like 2 other parts of the reunion. So it's probably just like it's Back to the Future Part 1, right? It's gonna ramp up, right? I swear to God, I have newer references in 1985 and 1994 and Survivor 1. So these taglines, are they written for them, or some of these just because here's why I ask, because I noticed a lot of them are similar, right? Like Plastic Makes Perfect, I thought was great, but some of them I find. For example, where is this here? Yeah, I'm no one's accessory. I'm the whole lifestyle brand. It's always like that. Like, someone's like saying, "Oh, you may be like a star, but I'm the galaxy," right? It's like you might be a boat, but I'm the whole ocean. Like it's
I think you just called Raquel's tagline when she becomes a Real Housewife in 10 years.
Oh yeah, in 10 years. Let's see her next year.
Yeah, sure.
But honestly, these taglines, I love the taglines. To be honest,
great.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah. And,
I think it's a mix. Like some of the housewives will bring their own, but they also they get some that are given to them by producers, or it's kind of a back and forth process.
Yeah, maybe someone come in with a terrible idea and they get a little workshopping from a producer.
Yeah,
maybe if it rhymed.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Make it rhyme. Yeah. Come back when it rhymes.
Just throwing notes in their face. Come back when it rhymes.
I'm waiting for ChatGPT to start making an appearance in all these.
Yeah.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before we're gonna get the first AI generated housewife tagline that makes his appearance on Bravo. Maybe we already have and just don't know. Dylan, any other highlights?
Well, we basically covered it, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that I had noted down here was I thought it was interesting that Louis was trying to date Alexia before Teresa. Alexia from Miami, who is a fantastic housewife. It's funny to see this this accusation of being a housewife chaser, because that's definitely seems like it's a thing.
Martell in Atlanta.
Yeah,
he was just going DM fishing until he got on the show. Yeah. Now it sounds like Louis might have been doing something similar.
Yeah, or Harry Dubin in New York. It definitely seems like a thing, and I'm not surprised to see this accusation pointed at Louis. He seems thirsty, and I'm glad that he landed one, because we get him on the screen.
Yeah, they are going to bring him out, right, in the later parts of the reunion. Okay, that's going to be great. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
That kind of stood out to me too. Like, what's the beef with somebody's husband didn't want to be on camera? Some business dealings. It was on it was on camera. Like, so I guess is that kind of a thing too, where somebody's husbands are on, and some are like, I don't want to be on this. I don't want to be on this goddamn show.
Well, in Jersey, all the husbands are a big force. I think the person that didn't want to be on camera was Dina Manzo's husband. So it wasn't like a current housewife's husband that didn't want to be on camera, but there's definitely all these accusations that are swirling around Louis and his business dealings that it sounds like they are going to start diving into in the next couple parts of this reunion.
Yeah, can't wait to watch. I'm in for the. I have to watch the last two now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really like, because again, Teresa was a name you hear of, right? That was like the OG. Yeah. And then again, I always thought it was Teresa Guidici and Giudice. But yeah, I thought she's a good like tentpole or like anchor for the show or for the reunion.
Yeah, there's a reason she's been on so long.
But Rachel, I don't know, Rachel. Yeah, like, it's funny. I mean, maybe she'll get more time, but it's just funny when they always pan her. She's just like staring, with her plastic, just like staring.
Yeah.
At the camera. She didn't have. It was just like, and her and Danielle trying to
Rachel look. Like, she looks like one of those fish that eats coral reefs, just kind of staring at everybody.
She has one of those like a who, like she has like a who knows. Like, I don't mean that like in a negative. I don't mean that in a negative way.
I mean, they have brought up her bad nose job on the show before, so it's kind of fair game.
Okay, well, you see her nose job. The black and plastic surgery, because I haven't watched in a while. Like, yeah, you can tell they have plastic surgery. I didn't think it all looked good to me. Like, it all, plastic makes perfect. Like, agreed. Yeah, it was.
Most of the Jersey cast has had, like, I would say, good work.
I thought, really good work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with the plastic surgery. Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Bill Aiden Plastic Surgery. Any final thoughts?
That's about does it for me. I could keep talking about Danielle and her dress, but I'm trying so hard not to be horny on the show, Craig. So you should congratulate me for not being a creep.
Yeah, you guys. No, I appreciate you guys being such open books on this podcast, and I'm the whole library. Yeah, well, maybe an open book. I'm sure. Honestly, I'm sure that's one of them. I'm sure that's one of them in there. I'm sure. A book library thing. They're not hard to do. Like it's.
You're gonna start like DMing all these housewives your ideas for taglines and see how many you can get on there.
I know. I'm gonna get fired from my job because all I'm gonna do is like spending time writing taglines. I'm gonna start doing merchandise for comedy with taglines. Oh man, I wish you guys never got me to do that.
Yeah,
because it's a rabbit hole because there's some really good ones. That was fun. It was really fun. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, Ben. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Ooh, you can find me in Jersey now. Appraising these houses. No, I will. Yeah, I'm in Ottawa. Got some shows coming up last night. So that's great. It was free at 7 p.m. So yeah, sure it was well attended. No, I guess in August I'll be at Absolute Comedy Club from August 1st to the 13th. That's in Toronto. Yeah, just shows around Ottawa locally, Absolute, Yuck Yucks. Just kind of around town.
Awesome. How about online?
Thanks for cutting me off there. I appreciate it. No, I'm glad. I was like, no, that was smart. You may cut me off, but I'm the whole Scissor. All right, so we got.
You ruined his life. He's just going to be thinking about taglines forever now.
That doesn't make any sense. No, and then online, my Instagram is OBC Comedy. And then I have a website with an update, benwalkercomedy.com. I do find it funny. It was like, what's your website? www. I was like, we don't have to say the W's anymore. All right?
HTTP :
Yeah. 2023. We can just say the name. I get how to do the rest. And then OBC Comedy, and so I promote shows on there. I'm not a serial. I'm not a spammer. Once every couple of weeks, I'll post about a show that I did already. You can find me that way. No, but thanks for having me on the show. This is really fun. It kind of got me out to see something, and that I haven't really seen before. So so I appreciate that.
Awesome. It was awesome.
And I even wore didn't have jersey, but I was trying to get close enough.
Oh yeah.
Trying to be as close enough. Yeah. Team Teresa. All right.
Dylan, where can people find you?
Dylan Ferguson on Substack.
Awesome. That's been Bravo Outsider for this week. Be sure to check out our Vanderpump Rules Reunion Part 2 recap, which we posted yesterday. It was a blast. We'll be back next week for Part 3 plus a regular episode. You can find us online at bravooutsider.com, on Instagram at bravooutsider, on Twitter at bravo_outsider. You can listen wherever you find podcasts or on YouTube. Until next week, keep on wifing.
Bye.